Hello and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to cover the Tuesday, February 20th NHL Daily Fantasy Slate. DJ, how you doing?
Just extremely stressed. I'm in my last semester at college and it's midterms. Well, it's like 1/3 terms, but we have a break coming up. So all our professors are like, good, this is the perfect time to give you all the assignments. So this week will have to at least write 11 to 12 pages and take 2 exams. So having a good time, taking a break to podcast because I'm for the people, for the brand. And yeah, other than that, my weekend was pretty good. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I mean with the NBA All-Star break still ongoing, it's been a fun weekend for sure.
Bigger contests?
Yeah, huge contests, including one on Tuesday night that is quite, it almost certainly is the largest daily fantasy NHL contest we've ever seen. So, looking at the 100K to first on Tuesday's slate is almost mind numbing. Like, in just the fact that, like, I don't know, I didn't think I'd ever see a day where you could win $100,000 playing daily fantasy hockey. That just seems kind of reserved for NBA. Even the smaller dollar games, you've got 25K to first for the $6. So
Yeah.
just another day of crazy prize pools, which has made this weekend a lot of fun, if not, nothing crazy for me, but Saturday came really close.
Yeah, I ended up not playing Saturday for personal reasons, but I will be back on
Day to day, personal.
day-to-day personal reasons in a sense. But now Sunday was kind of a weird slate. Monday was also kind of a weird slate, right? Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
3-3.
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yep.
we finally get that big slate. 9 games, not the biggest, but huge prizes. So I guess let's dive right into it. Hopefully, you're in the group me. We'll get talking and we'll have some big winners. I'll let you announce that for Thursday's podcast, we'll have our January group winner for the Morningscape Podcast League. It's not too late to join. Last time we had a 200 contest pool, then we only had about like 30. No, I think it was 20 people in it, probably 20.
Yeah, we've topped out at about 20, I think.
I think we topped out at 20. So if you want to get on this podcast, and there will be other prizes for season-long winners at the end. We'll discuss those later. Jumping on that, but let's get into the slate. We'll just go game by game. We'll start with Florida at Toronto. There's also Columbus at New Jersey, Montreal at Philadelphia, Tampa Bay at Washington on a back-to-back, but this is now their home. Nashville at Detroit, Nashville on a back-to-back. San Jose at St. Louis. A lot of interesting news there. LA at Winnipeg, Boston at Edmonton, and Colorado at Vancouver. So we'll start with Florida at Toronto. Matt, what are your initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, Toronto is Freddie Anderson is the most expensive goalie on the slate, which kind of tells you where the DraftKings algorithm has this game. If you look at the way Toronto's been playing defense, like when Freddie Anderson hasn't been at the absolute pinnacle of his game, Toronto's just not doing well defensively. So immediately I'm looking towards the Florida side here, just looking through Freddie A's game logs, the shots he's faced the past few games now. 39 one game ago against Pittsburgh, 57, 34, 25, 46. Like, these are some pretty huge shot numbers coming against Toronto. And with Florida's offense being so consolidated, as we've seen time and time again, Barkov, Trocheck, Dadonov, and Yandel pretty much on that first power play, they take so many of his team's shots that I'm finding it really hard right off the top to just not fall in love with the newly kind of a little bit suppressed in pricing. But we were seeing Trocheck and Barkov above 7,000. They're in the mid sixes now. So I really like both of those guys in particular. But just in general, I think the Florida side has a lot of sneaky plays here that could be pretty strong values.
Yeah, we're looking at a 6 over-under on Vegas. I don't foresee us getting anything above a 6, so it'll definitely be, I think, a pretty highly targeted game. Obviously, going with Toronto and targeting them a lot is always risky because you don't get a lot of big minutes from all their top guys. Although their last game, they definitely rolled out the Nylanders Matthews unit, maybe a touch more, trying to get that W over Detroit, which I think they won in overtime. Or was it
No,
right at the end?
won
It was right at the
minute.
end. Yeah, Matthews right at the end. So yeah, I pretty much echo everything you say on Florida. I think Trocheck's a great solo play as always. He doesn't really stack with his line mates all that well. Maglin, Malgin, I think Malgin,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He only got 13 minutes. Power play two, just scoring that second power play. I don't think he's a great pivot. I think you could do better at that price at 4K. And then on the first line, like Dadonov, Barkov is always one of my favorite stacks. They correlate well on the power play. I think I've mentioned it numerous times. Like, if you really feel Florida, you're really going to want to stack through Barkov, Dadonov, Trocheck. Those are the main three. Bukestad's getting a pretty big bump in minutes as well, but he has second power play.
yeah. And I mean, I should note that according to the Vegas lines that we currently have, I also don't see the lines that we don't have being any bigger favorites. Toronto is the biggest favorite on the slate. But again, I just look at what they've seeded defensively, and it just makes me think track meet all over the place. And we know how condensed the Florida output is. So that's kind of my rationale for really starting off heavy on the Florida side. I think the biggest revelation of the past couple weeks, at least for Toronto, has been Mitch Marner playing alongside Nazem Kadri. Those two are going like bonkers right now. Their prices at above 6,000 are pretty tough to swallow, given that you're not seeing a ton of minutes like you alluded to. So that's my main hesitation with Toronto always, is that you never know where the usage is going to come from. So I don't know, any in particular plays on Toronto that you would consider as like one-offs, or are you just kind of full fading the Toronto side due to their
Uh,
lack of
it's
minutes?
just it's just really hard because all the guys that I really would consider are above 6K in Kadri, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. I really don't think. I mean, I do always like JVR as a shot producer, but I don't know. It's not the best play in my opinion. I mean, I think you could do better. I think that's the one guy I'd consider here, but I probably won't end up playing him.
Yeah, I think I could get on board with like a Matthews Nylander stack, but it's really not something that I'm going to be doing. Just given, like I said, I don't think the prices make sense for the roles that these guys play, even though they're insanely talented, and for the minutes that they do get, like they're obviously really productive. I just think there's better
Mhm.
spots for better prices that
And
can be attacked.
for what it's worth, Luongo is back. He played the last game for Florida. I don't know if that
Bobby
really
Lou.
changes too much. Yeah, but I don't know. It's interesting. It's
Yeah,
definitely worth noting. We haven't mentioned it.
yeah. Another. Well, I don't know. You mentioned goalie. I was just looking at the cheap goalies. Just note Detroit traded Peter Mrazek to Philly, so it looks like Jimmy Howard will go in that for Detroit. Just keep that in mind. I don't think it will matter, but
Hmm.
you never know. So just wanted to point that out before I
So
forgot.
why
All
don't we
right.
get over to Columbus, New Jersey? Matt, any initial thoughts on this game? I know this game might have something you want to mention.
Yeah, I mean the pace for both of these teams, New Jersey in particular, has just been outstanding as of late. Columbus, especially, has kind of been just burning me over and over and
Well,
over
they were
again
the team that
because
had that 54 shots on Toronto. Just
yes,
to throw that back in there.
because they do so well at 5-on-5, but one, their power play isn't clicking, but two, they're just not really getting that many power play opportunities in general. Um, so I'm kind of more interested in the New Jersey side here. Um, I do think this will be an up and down affair. We're looking at Taylor Hall at 7,200. Just incredible the way he's dragging this team to relevancy. The first power play over the weekend for New Jersey got revamped almost entirely. Will Butcher was a scratch.
Hmm.
So even before that though, so Sammy Vatanen was power play one quarterback for them, and the first line for New Jersey played on that power play, being Heischer, Hall, and Palmieri. So add in Bratt to that, and there's your first unit. Um, you're like Heischer and Palmieri, or sorry, Heischer and Palmieri are both really strong values here, in my opinion, given that they're on the first power play again. So I really enjoy that. There was some flip flopping between Jesper Bratt and Kyle Palmieri, so Palmieri's probably secondary to a Heischer Hall stack. Um, but I don't really see that. I don't really see that affecting too much because they also found room for the two of them to play together. So just something that I noticed over the weekend that I think Sammy Vatanen's a really, really strong play. I love Taylor Hall and I love Nico Hischier. And then Palmieri always kind of creeps into, especially, I mean, even my Fantasy Labs model at this point, Palmieri's right up there among the best values of the slate. So I'll just let you talk now since I pretty much covered the entire New Jersey news.
Yeah, I think you took all of the possible New Jersey plays. Yeah, I definitely like this power play unit more than it was before, being as like you can stack that first line. I don't know if I'd put Vatanen with it. Like you're really, really still kind of looking for a guy to get assists to get into relevancy in a GPP. Like you're not taking down that 100K prize you alluded to with Vatanen. I don't think he is. I mean, he's at 3.8. I think he's a better option than some considering his usage, but I don't think he's by any means a lock because of this. I do like the Columbus side maybe more than what were you gonna say?
I'll be honest. I really like Vatanen.
I don't know. I think he's not really been that much of a shot producer. Like if he score, like I think he'll block enough shots to keep him at a decent floor, but I don't think his floor is anything to go nuts about.
No, I mean, I think what makes him different than Will Butcher is that he's like their first guy over the boards in overtime. Like even like all situations, his minutes are just going to be so high that I kind of am more willing to go, a little bit less of a shots blocks floor, just because I think we know he's a pretty good hockey player in general.
I just feel like I would not include him if you're not stacking New Jersey, is what I guess I'm kind of trying to get at more. Like if you stack that line one, you want to play Vatanen, go right ahead. Like that's huge because like he's kind of in that category of like he needs to get 3 assists in this game. Like I don't really see him as shooting the puck enough. But if you think that first line, that first power play is going to get, 3 or 4 goals, the first line gets like 3 goals. Like Vatanen could assist on all 3 of them potentially. So it makes sense because he gets so much usage comparatively to Will Butcher, who does not get the usage. So I think he's a much better player than Will Butcher, but
okay. Yeah,
that's all I have to say there. Like, I just don't think I would not play him one off in this game by any means. Like, you need the whole New Jersey team to smash.
All right.
Team to smash.
Yeah, I will go on the record and say I think Vatanen's a fine one-off play as well, but we can let that rest there. So on the Columbus side, we're looking at Seth Jones, a little bit fallen in price. He has 40 shots on goal and 12 blocks over the past 10 games. That 40 shots number just continues to blow me away. Like, that's really strong floor for anyone. So in a matchup that I really like, it's going to be tough for me to look the other way on Seth Jones. Panarin and Cam Atkinson were matched up last game as well, so I like that stack. But any thoughts on the Columbus side here?
I think what really, for me, I know we're kind of going to get to the news early here, but with the news of potentially Brent Burns being out, I think Seth Jones could end up moving up into maybe almost the top defensive spot on the slate price considered. At 5'9", if you're not going to play Burns because Burns is in play, and Burns isn't really even in the best spot, but I mean, he's kind of, he can do amazing versus anyone. But I really like Seth Jones a lot. I think he's more of a one-off type of guy because of his upside, but I do think he's very stackable with that Atkinson, Panarin, Dubois line. I mean, Dubois was not on their first power play unit as Wemberg kind of took the center spot there. But with Foligno being out, there is room in that first power play that someone will jump in on. There's a number of players it could be. I don't think we'll get news confirming who it is.
Right.
But if it is a guy like Bjorkstrand, I think that definitely bumps him into contention. He's been getting a lot more consistent 16, 17 minutes. And I think if you're going to play a guy like JVR at a full, grand at least more, how much is Bjorkstrand right now? Yeah, more than $1,000 more in the same minutes. I think they're pretty similar players. Like Oliver Bjorkstrand's had a huge shots on goal numbers as of late at 4.3. I really hope he gets power play 1. That's kind of the one guy I think is in a really nice spot here tomorrow.
Yeah,
a bump in minutes potentially.
Yeah, the only potential thing I could see with it, because Foligno's their net front guy, I don't see Wennberg, Panarin, or Atkinson really sliding in to be a net front guy.
Okay, I guess.
So I mean,
Kapinski?
this is all conjecture, but I think it could be Dubois.
Yeah.
Dubois, or I think it's either Dubois, Anderson, or Jenner. And because Dubois was there earlier this year, he was playing
Yeah.
the front role.
Okay.
So I almost want to say maybe was Foligno out then or something. But either way, I think Dubois could get that promotion, which would obviously be very nice for his daily fantasy relevancy. Um, centers usually aren't the highest shot floor guys. So the way Dubois has been profiling this season makes me think that, even though I know he ripped Doug a few times last year being in Columbus with the Ohio State thing, Dubois was kind of the third, the ugly duckling or whatever of the draft class from last year. And he's been outstanding this year. So I do think he's a worthwhile play. But all right. Anything else on the Columbus?
We should probably move on.
All right. Montreal at Philadelphia. Yeah, you were saying you saw Montreal lines.
I think I did.
From
Hold on.
earlier.
I'll try to pull them up quick. We had Lehkonen, Drouin. Wait, okay, this isn't right because this is Lehkonen, Drouin, Lehkonen. Let's look if he corrected his mistake here because this is like a trusted guy. I retweeted them too, so now I look like an idiot. You didn't delete them either. He must have made a mistake. Pacioretty. He meant to put Pacioretty. He did correct it.
Okay.
Lehkonen, Drouin, Pacioretty, Byron, Plekanec, Gallagher, Galchenyuk, Deneau, Hudon, Bros, and De La Rosa. Who cares? Okay, Andrew Shaw,
Okay.
but like, yeah.
Yeah. So really, Lehkonen's the only person who interests me there. I just not that interested in Montreal. Anyways, I don't really think. If you did watch the NBC game on Sunday, they, I believe, combined for 12 goals. The Flyers and
Rangers.
Yeah, it was
I did watch that.
All right, yeah, 7-4. So that game was insane. It's kind of crazy. Claude Giroux has 70 or actually 69 points on the season. And have I played Claude Giroux once this year? I don't know.
I don't know if I have. I think on a smaller slate I probably have, but
I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, I've played Voracek, I've played Simmons, but I've played Gostisbehere, obviously. But I just feel like I haven't played Giroux at all, which is almost crazy to think about. Their prices are so high. And I don't know how willing I am to buy in that like Philly is on par with a team like Tampa or even, a Boston or something like that, which is literally what you're paying. That's the price you're paying for Philly right now. Like it's either Tampa 1, Boston 1, or Philly 1. Like that's, Washington 1, whatever. Goes on. So, I just don't really see myself playing much Philly at all. So I guess we can discuss them because like Konechny's been really good. Nolan Patrick's kind of maintained his top tier role for them. But do you have any like strong takes in any direction regarding Philly?
Not really strong, I guess. I mean, I don't mind that Voracek, Patrick, Simmons stack because it's pretty cheap. I just feel like with the way Voracek's been playing this year, being such a great assist, playmaker, like I just can't imagine that Simmons just kind of stays on this seeming pretty dry spell here, right? I mean, I don't know. He has 37 points. It's not like he's been terrible, 20 goals, but it does feel like a stack that could end up really smashing one night. I don't think I love the matchup against Montreal. I feel like this isn't a game I'm highly targeting by any means. Like it's not my favorite pace game. I don't think it would project more than a 5.5.
Yeah, it's just a little bit gross, I think.
I'd probably fade it. I think Lehkonen at 3.6 is a pretty good value at that range. Like that's fine by me. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I would consider a Voracek Simmons stack. I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow night. It's the night I play it, though.
All right. So maybe the marquee game of the night is Tampa Bay at Washington. I believe both teams, I think Washington's still leading the Metro, but regardless, two top-tier teams in the NHL facing off. And I don't really know if you would believe it coming in because Washington's not been that strong as of late. They got smoked by Chicago on Saturday. Like they've just been giving up a lot of goals against. So this really has me looking hard at Tampa, even though they're on the road against another top tier team. It's so hard to not just jam in Kucherov, Point, Killorn. Like
Yeah.
Killorn's price below 5,000 still.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's just kind of egregious. Like I think Killorn's almost a must play. Like he's not the safest play by any means, but just the way Kucherov, is Kucherov and does Kucherov things, and how Killorn's on that first power play with him. Like given that Braden Point's like at a reasonable 5.8 given his production, I just think that full line is such a good play.
Yeah, Killorn had 24 minutes of ice time in their last game. He does kill penalties.
Yeah, I mean,
so there's potential for. I mean, he's not a big block shot kind of guy, but like pick up a couple there, have a few shots on goal. But just like that power play one is so incredibly lethal. And Tampa Bay's been not Tampa. I mean, Washington's been pretty, just kind of okay. They do pick up a defenseman today, and Michael
Kempny, yeah.
I don't think he'd probably play tomorrow, right? Probably not. Maybe he probably could. He probably could play tomorrow. I don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't find it likely, but he certainly. I believe the official word is Trotz said it's up in the air. Like,
yeah,
I think I saw that.
Washington's on a back-to-back. They do head from Buffalo, where they obviously won, back home to Washington. I really like the Tampa Bay side in this. I do think I'll have some Killorn and Kucherov. Maybe Point. I could see it. You do know that Kucherov came off an 11 shot on goal game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I played him on Saturday. Yeah. I had the Stones on Saturday. Outside of I don't know what I was thinking. No, I played Anton Forsberg, who smashed, but I played Ovechkin. Against Forsberg, and I'm just like because I felt so good about Ovi, and I figured like Chicago's gonna win because I had the full first line stack and Seabrook, and they smashed and did everything, and I just thought that Washington was gonna put up some sort of fight and that Ovi would lead the charge. He bageled for me. Like if I play Stamkos or anyone, I win. I think I win the 10,000 to be honest. It was that close. So
well, man. Any other humble brags, or are we?
I mean, no. It was just. Well, I mean, you should have watched the Fantasy Lab show on Saturday because that was just the nails. Let's just say I took Dougie Hamilton out of that lineup that would have won all the money, and Dougie Hamilton had a hat trick. So
good night.
My team was pretty insane. But
anyways, back to this. I think we're in agreement on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Hedman. I just want to mention Hedman because Burns, Burns being a question mark if he doesn't play. Hedman is not even the most expensive defenseman otherwise, and I don't know, he doesn't quite do as much, I think, as a Yossi, or obviously not Burns, but probably Yossi, Gostisbehere have a little bit higher floors. But Hedman also, has that elite exposure to a Tampa team that if you stack him, I think the minutes Hedman plays for his a little bit reduced price makes a lot of sense. But yeah, what were you going to say?
No, I was actually about to maybe transition it to Hedman. I was going to ask if there's any defensemen kind of alluding to that.
Perfect.
So yeah, you nailed it, man. You absolutely killed it. Nice job. But what about anyone on Washington? I'm probably going to stay away because I don't trust them. I'm not just gonna. I don't want to pay up with these guys.
Right. Yeah, TJ Oshie at 5,000 is interesting, but the shots just haven't been there for him. On a similar note, Jacob Vrana played on that Oshie Kuznetsov line against Buffalo, but the minutes really weren't there still. As you might suspect. So I think Vrana's not the worst play if you're looking to spend 3.3 on a winger, but in general, I just don't think it's that necessary. So. No, I don't see myself playing Ovi or Carlson, who are really the main two guys I look at. So
agreed. Nashville at Detroit. Nashville on a back-to-back. Not Detroit, right? Detroit's not. No,
Detroit is not.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nashville just kind of trounced Ottawa. Ottawa put up a bit of a fight. It was 50-50 in terms of shots on goal, but Arvidsson was the main draw from Monday night's slate, having 9 shots on goal and 2 goals. His first multi-goal game of the season. Price is 6,200. I feel like there's better options, especially with the NBA guys here who are probably watching Monday night going like, oh wow, that guy, like he had 9 shots, like yeah, he was, obviously Arvidsson's a really good player and I think we really like him, but they were feeding Arvidsson the entire third period and he just could not score that hat trick goal. So it wasn't quite as shot dominant as you might suspect out of a 9-shot game. So, just a little bit of caution there. Like I prefer Dadonov or Atkinson personally, Panarin too. So
I
just wanted to
completely
mention
agree.
that.
I don't think I would stack up on Nashville in this matchup. I mean, I love Yossi and I love Subban. I mean, I always like considering Forsberg, but I probably would not even consider any of these somewhat cheaper guys because none of them really are good values. Like Fiala and Craig Smith are, I don't know, they're kind of at the price range where I'm like, you're kind of buying high on them, I feel like, at best. Like, Craig Smith did have a pretty good run in there, but I mean, he's definitely not worth
he's
5-7 by any means on DraftKings. I think if I'm looking at anything, I'm looking at Yossi, but I do think I'm going to end up with like one of the upper tier defensemen in a stack, such as Seth Jones or Hedman. So I doubt I can afford Yossi as well, but I do think he's probably the best player in this game overall, of anyone I consider.
Yeah, okay, and so I kind of have to do it because Mike Green is a question mark for the Detroit Red Wings. On a back-to-back against Nashville at home, do you think there's any merit to someone like Trevor Daley, who's kind of like their main power play guy now, or are you just kind of saying, nah, I'll find better value elsewhere at 3.3 for Trevor Daley?
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of your best cheap defenseman value plays, but I just don't think I'll go cheap on defense, like I'm kind of mentioning.
Okay.
I'll probably spread the wealth a bit there. But I think if you have a lineup you're in love with and he might even be considered for utility, honestly. It's not like Detroit couldn't score a goal or two, and Trevor Daley is going to be getting the majority of the ice time. If they do get some power play time, he'll quarterback the top unit. Although, kind of looks like Cromwell was on the top unit.
Yeah,
look at it.
It's
I mean, Cromwell, but
yeah, I guess you can consider that the top unit.
Yeah, wow.
They pretty much split because Larkin's like their best player, and
do you think they just don't care about scoring on the power play? Like they have Nick Cromwell back there. Is that like part of it?
They certainly do not care.
Like I feel like Nick Jensen would be a better option, and like he's not good.
No,
Jensen like shoots the puck though. Like maybe you could try to put the puck. I don't know. Whatever.
I'm not gonna get too much time. Any forwards? No. Okay.
Nope.
Moving on to San Jose at St. Louis. As we alluded to, Brent Burns left on Sunday. It was a blowout. I think San Jose scored on 5 of their first 8 shots. So that game was pretty much over by the time the third period started. So Burns left in the third period. He also missed Saturday's practice or left early with the same issue. I honestly don't think he'll miss on Tuesday night, but the potential certainly is there. So we know that if Brent Burns plays and he's good to go, he's a top option at 7,200. But if Brent Burns doesn't play, like what does that do to the Sharks in your opinion? Does it make anyone more in play or less in play?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we get news of this, but I mean, Marc-Andre Vlasic is a very, very good defenseman. He has very good floor numbers. At 4-9, he's not a smash play by any means, but if he's on that first power play unit and you're really feeling it, I guess that you could consider it. St. Louis will shoot the puck enough. He will block a lot of shots. If he could get a goal and an assist in there, like he's going to absolutely smash. I think Tim Heed, if he gets called up, which I don't think he did actually.
I think he was a scratch last game.
Last game, yeah, he was a scratch. Tim Key is more of a power play quarterback type of guy. Not the best defensively, but there's a chance he could slide in on that first unit at 2.9 and be a very nice option at really cheap. Other than that, I think if Burns is out, it kind of makes me almost consider the St. Louis side a little bit more, being as it's not just Brent Burns that's out. I mean, you're talking about Hurdle. There's another guy I'm missing in there that's out for a while.
Thornton.
Well, yeah, Thornton. There was another guy that they just put on IR. They put 2 guys on IR. I think I retweeted it. Let me look. Did you not?
Joel Ward?
Yes, it was Joel Ward. That doesn't matter
Okay.
at all, does it? Wow. That doesn't really change anything. I just knew it was another player I recognized the name of. Really, yeah, Joel Ward doesn't really matter. Okay. But the
Yeah.
Sharks team is banged up. And like I think St. Louis could end up being kind of one of the way more under the radar type of teams on this slate. And like they're I would say suppressed in price comparatively to normal for these top two lines.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, Tarasenko sub 7,000.
Schwartz
Schwartz has
sub
fallen.
six.
Yeah.
Like I'm just
So
saying, like I kind of considering the other side a bit more in this matchup with how banged up the Sharks really are. If you are on the Sharks, like Timo Meyer, Pavelski, Carlson being their top line, like Timo Meyer's price has gone up to 5K, so he's not really that much of a value. But he's still a decent option here. But Matt, I'll let you talk for a minute about
yeah, I
what you think
mean,
of this game.
I think if Burns, I feel like if Burns does play, even then, St. Louis is just that matchup that I find ways to talk myself out of playing even guys like Brent Burns. I just have so much respect for their systems and their overall defensive abilities. Um, so with that said, Burns could sneak his way into my lineup, but if Burns is out, it almost makes me a little bit more interested in San Jose, honestly, because one, I think Tim Heed would dress. And I think, you look at his game logs, he played 9 minutes the other night against Vancouver. That was the game that Brent Burns was supposed to play forward. That lasted all of, I think, 4 shifts. And then he went to playing defense for like the last 42 minutes of the game. So Tim Heed was the seventh guy, kind of just sat on the sidelines and, kind of got screwed over that way. Like I think if Burns is out, you can expect him to get 18 to 19 minutes of power play time. 2.9, he's such a good rate shooter that I am locking that in if Burns is confirmed out. And then secondly, like Burns takes such a monstrous share of the shots on goal. You're looking at guys like Timo Meyer who probably would pick up most of that slack at 5-on-5 and on the power play because Timo Meyer is his rate stats are like top 10 in the NHL in terms of shots on goal per 60. So I think that opens up a lot of space and shots for a guy like Timo Meyer because I don't really think it impacts San Jose's on ice performance all that much. Like Burns is just such a pace pusher and such a user of those opportunities that with him being out, it almost kind of makes up for the on ice loss with how much the other guys get to, it's their turn to shoot the puck now, basically.
Um, I don't know. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I just feel like Burns is like I don't think he takes away from other people as much because I don't know. No, I'm not even gonna try to dive into this rabbit hole, like trying to figure
all
out
right.
how teams run their system. I just feel like Burns is really good at finding space to shoot the puck on net comparatively to other defensemen. Like I don't think that. I guess you could say like, well, if another defenseman passes it more often, then like that would create more opportunity for other people. But I don't think it's like it's such a drastic difference that you're trying to
Yeah, I
making
mean,
it sound.
well, if you had 5
Like
Brent
I think San
Burnses on
Jose
the
gets
ice,
more shots in general because Burns is on the ice for everyone.
but if you had
So like he
5 Brent Burnses on the ice, would you have 120 Corsi 4 per 60, or would you
well
still be,
no.
the general
Well, some
65s
of
that
them wouldn't get it. I agree that, like I said, marginally less, but I think he produces so much pace and offense that like it bumps up everyone a little bit, although he takes away a little bit too. Like I don't think it's like he just will produce like this. The pace isn't going to be there anymore for all these guys to flourish.
okay?
This is going a bit off base. I feel like
No, I mean, no,
that, I mean, yeah, but like that, like Tim Heat is also a pretty good. Like I think he's a really good offensive minded defenseman to get unbelievable AHL numbers. Like he's kind of like a TJ Brennan, where it's like this is a guy that clearly is too good for the AHL, but gets to the NHL and just I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna dive into that conversation either because that's
right.
another one of those. Like I'm not a coach, I don't know, but I do think that like St. Louis could control the puck more without Burns on the ice and produce more offense. That's kind of why I'm leaning towards St. Louis. Like Burns won't have the ability to do what he does best, which is move the puck and create that Corsi. So I think that gives St. Louis a bit of a bump, just overall as a team. Does that make
Okay.
sense? I feel like this got really out of hand, but at the
Yeah, I
same
mean,
time, it's a good conversation to have because if
my
Burns is out, that changes a lot of stuff.
yeah, I mean, my take is that without Burns, San Jose becomes much less fantasy friendly on the to attack San Jose because Burns is basically a fourth forward anyways. You watch him play, he takes a lot of not dumb risks, but he takes a lot of risks that, turn into 50-50 pucks that go the other way for 2-on-1s, etc. So, if Burns is out for me, it's really the San Jose value or bust. And then in general, I'm just not that into St. Louis on this slate. I might talk myself into Tarasenko if the sim, really loves Tarasenko or something like that. But it remains to be seen for sure because I do like what you're saying about their falling prices in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say that this matchup in general is probably pretty mid tier for like how much I like it. On a 9-game slate, I might rate it 4 or 5 overall, maybe even 6. But they're probably right in that range on a 9-game slate overall. So I mean, we spent a lot of time on this, but what do you think about that? Do you think this is out of all of the games we've mentioned so far, maybe 5 out of all 9 in general? Not the ones that
definitely. I think right down the middle is a solid. Yeah,
so 4.5. Okay.
You know what? No, I'm gonna go like 6 actually.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But all right, Vince Dunn 3.2 power play 1 potentially. So just to keep him in mind as well.
If you really like that, yeah, he got 19 minutes last game, but that was because of a lot of power play time. If you like St. Louis, it's definitely worth considering. Okay.
LA at Winnipeg. LA on a road back-to-back, having just beat up on the Blackhawks. Winnipeg coming off of 2 huge games in a row, just thrashing the Avalanche with no McKinnon, and then thrashing the Panthers on a back-to-back. LA also on a back-to-back here. So I don't know. What do you think? The main, back-to-back 3-point nights out of Blake Wheeler. What are your thoughts on someone like him? How does Wheeler stack up in your mind to the Ovies, the Halls, the Kucherovs of the slate?
I mean, I feel like he's just been a better version of Horacek on the year. He's a better shot producer on the year. He's had so many assists, which again is like a little bit surprising for Blake Wheeler and surprising for Voracek. But yeah, I guess I'd call him the rich man's Jake Voracek this year. And I think him with Scheifele is just awesome. He was also with Connor, who also slotted in power play 1 last game, if I recall correctly. So that puts Kyle Connor back at 5.7. How much of a price? I guess we never really got too low, but didn't you get kind of cheap on FanDuel?
He might still be. Yeah,
am I losing my mind? So if you play FanDuel, I'll look it up while we talk here. But that first power play, all together is awesome. You also have Line A and Bufflin there. Line A, Bufflin, another stack that could be pretty fun or really tilting when Line A gets 13 minutes.
Yeah.
You never know. But then again, I don't know. It's so hard to play Line A. I feel like
no, it's so difficult.
Sorry, did you have the FanDuel price?
Yeah, so now he is 57 on FanDuel, but before this game he was 5,000 for the last month. So
we'll also note that FanDuel has some really good contests over there too. 15K to first in the how much entry? 4.44? Is that really what it says? Why is it $4.44? Am I losing my mind?
What's it called?
The 75K Tuesday NHL Mega Breakaway, 15K to first, $4.44 to enter.
You know what's really weird? I clicked on my calendar for whatever reason, and it was 11:44.44.
Ooh,
44 44 seconds.
There's a lot of 44s right now.
A lot of 44s in my life. Is Josh Morrissey 44?
Ah, boy, I don't think so, but I really don't
44.
Know.
Oh,
he's
my
44.
God.
Oh my God, Josh Morrissey.
Well, we are locking him in.
Yep. He got no power play time last game, 19 minutes penalty kill time. So, I mean, yeah, he seems quite lockish to me.
I cannot believe we just did that. That is one of the crazier coincidences of my life.
I wish he was 4.4, but he's 6. God, you idiot.
Wait, what's he on FanDuel?
Oh, God, we're still going. All right, you do that. I'll get back to this game.
Oh, he's 4,000.
Oh, my God, 400.
All right.
Now we'll be 4-4 next play because we did this. All right.
Getting back to the Line A thing, they just don't trust him. It's so weird because they obviously love Patrick Line A, but they have so many good options on Winnipeg that, if he does one bad thing, he's relegated to a line with Andrew Copp. I don't know. It's just not something that I want to just be playing with all the time because it's not like you're getting a great value on him. It's not like he's a great rate shooter either. He's, just that guy who has such a ridiculous shot that you can expect him to shoot he's shooting 16% on this season. Like,
So,
that's just kind of crazy. Like, he's not a great rate shooter though, which hurts his fantasy value when he doesn't hit those massive upside games.
So the lines that Winnipeg ran last game, which you got to assume they'll run again, being as they scored 7 goals, were
Yep.
Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler. Okay, I'm not gonna mess it up. Perot, Little, Roslovic,
Nice.
Ellers, Kopp, Line A, and Line 4 doesn't matter. So I listened to those lines and I'm like, I mean, they're different. But you'd think Ellers, Kopp, Line A would have to be line 2. But they ran the Perot, Little, Roslovic line 2.
Yeah, I mean,
and
Little's their second line center, basically. So
yeah. It's confusing me. Ellers is not with line A on the power play. It's really tough to stack up this team and not go with that first line unless you want to get pretty contrarian. Obviously, last game, if you would have stacked the whole team, you would have won all the money. But it's not probably going to be the same case against LA. How do you feel overall about this game? We're spending a ton of time on this because of the 44 thing. Should we be spending this much time on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm considering like the Wheeler. I don't know how I feel about Scheifele though. It's the problem. Like Scheifele is so good at hockey, but he's almost too low of a floor for me to play at 7,300. Like I kind of reserve the non-shooter centers for that price to Sidney Crosby and no one else.
Yeah.
Even a guy like McDavid's, his shot numbers have been incredible lately. So, like, I just have a really hard time pulling the trigger on Scheifele, but at the same time, I have a really hard time playing Wheeler on his own because, like, that line probably is going to smash if Wheeler smashes. So, I could get behind. Yeah, I could get behind that mini stack, but at the same time, like Scheifele's the guy setting them all up. So
it's just kind Buffalo of really isn't a value anymore.
Yes, that is sad
because we did this. We always do this to all these players. We're like, yo, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. And then he does good, and then they're like, all right, we heard you.
Yeah. All right, so let's move to the last 2 games of the slate.
We didn't even say a word on LA. Can you just at least like give them a mention?
LA is a hockey team that acquired Dion Phaneuf in a trade and has gotten 2 goals out of him in 3 games.
When did they play last? They
today. They played today.
Okay. Was it earlier?
He scored today. Nope, they just finished. They played Chicago.
Oh wow. I've been studying all day, so I really haven't paid attention.
Yeah, so Phaneuf scored. He is 3,500. He's being used on their second power play, and he played 22 minutes. So,
for what it's worth,
I kind of want to go throw up now, but Dion Phaneuf.
All right, you're really right though. I'm probably not going to touch LA, so we can move on. I just thought like if we're going to completely skip LA after all of that Winnipeg, that just felt like.
Right.
I mean, we have fans of LA that listen to us.
Right. So last thing, for what it's worth, the line they ran in this game: Kopitar, Iafallo, Dustin Brown, Kempe centered Tanner Pearson and Mitchell. Is that Torrey Mitchell? I think so. I don't know. And Nate Thompson centered Toffoli and Clifford. So Toffoli kind of falls off the radar for me.
Yeah, why would you put an anchor around a good player? Well, 2 anchors.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but Toffoli does get that power play one time. His price is so low. But no, I'm just not against Winnipeg. No, Winnipeg's really good. So just don't play anyone on LA and thank me later. All right, Boston at Edmonton. You good?
Am I good with this game not playing it, or what do you think?
No, I mean, like, you good to move to Boston?
Yeah, I know, I'm good to move. I was like, we're like not playing? Like, this game's fine. I like this game. Okay.
All right. Yeah, the McJesuses did that thing again where they told McJesus, like, hey, you're going to drag around and make Leon Draisaitl look good. And they did that in the 3rd period on Sunday against Colorado. So the lines going into Tuesday will almost certainly be McDavid with Draisaitl and Maroon. Draisaitl continuing to show that he can't carry his own line, but I guess he's worth $9 million per season because that's Pete Chiarelli for you. Hey, speaking of Peter Chiarelli, look at Boston, the team that no longer has the services of Dougie Hamilton coming off of a hat trick, Tyler Seguin,
Wheeler, who you just mentioned,
Blake Wheeler coming off of back-to-back 3-point games.
Johnny Boychuk, who's better than some other defensemen, but Boston's,
Yeah, this is the battle of the what could have beens for Edmonton and Boston, but Boston's a really good team, so let's not shit on them
Yeah,
too
I know.
much.
It's funny because my friends from Boston are like, dude, we're still really good. We don't need those guys. I'm like, yeah, good point. You don't need those guys. They wouldn't make you any better. You don't need them. I mean, like
No,
you gave Krejci all the money you could have gave to Tyler Seguin, but I mean, you don't need him. You need Krejci. That's your Stanley Cup guy right there.
yeah. So,
Right.
anyways, I mentioned that line just because it's it's tough when McDavid's on a slate, especially with Boston having just played on Monday. They played in the afternoon against Calgary. McDavid 7,600 has 40 shots in his last 10, 41 shots in his last 10 games, 11 goals, 5 assists. He just had a hat trick against Colorado that he closed off with an empty netter. So that's a little bit misleading, but at the same time, like he is doing McDavid things. And in addition to doing McDavid things, he is shooting the puck a ton. Um, so I think that's just something you have to take into account. Like when McDavid's kind of doing that thing where he's in one of those trends where he's shooting the puck all the time, it's really hard not to play him. So just another top end name that, tough to fade in my opinion.
Yeah, when you put McDavid with Draisaitl, like that really gives me a lot more reason. Like Kajula's okay at hockey. Draisaitl is, I think, good enough. But I don't think I consider anyone out of that top line for Edmonton. No one on defense, I don't think really gets me going crazy. Like Clefbaum's on that first power play. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
think I'd probably have it at 5-1. Like he's kind of like he's been a pretty good floor guy as of late. Like I would consider it if you really are all in on Edmonton, but I don't think I'm all in on Edmonton. Like I want to just stack the whole team against Boston, but Boston is on a road back to back. Keep that in consideration here. I don't think I'd pay up for the Boston one guys either. Although, I mean, it's not the worst matchup. Edmonton's pretty bad still. What do you think about Boston one?
right. Um, Pasternak has a pretty decent price to 6,500, but
Mhm.
I personally feel like I would kind of side with the like Tarasenko's of the world rather than pay that price. I don't think I just don't think it makes sense to play Patrice Bergeron going up against McDavid. Almost certainly, like Bergeron's outstanding, but McDavid is just transcendent. And when they're the same price from a daily fantasy setting, and McDavid's at home, and he's not the one playing on a road back to back, I just think the obvious edge there goes McDavid. So I think my top stack here is McDavid with Oscar Klefbom. You mentioned his power play one role. He has 57 shots plus blocks over the past 10 games. The points haven't been there for him, but it's one of those things where if he keeps putting pucks on net, I just feel like McDavid will find one of them, or someone will clean up the mess and get him some assists. One might even sneak through. I believe Rask played on. Yeah, let's see. Rask played on Monday, so I mean, who's the backup? Kadobin.
Dolbin.
Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. I don't think it is worth that much, but if you need a reason to kind of consider Oscar Klefbom, I think that would be a strong reason behind it. So
And Cam Talbot 7,100 against Boston on a road back to back.
should be a lot of shots.
Should be a lot of shots. I mean, like I think it's a fine GPP take. Like Cam Talbot's been pretty bad, but I don't think he is as bad as this year. Like he's not as good as last year, as bad as this year. Like
Right.
they'll end up finding that common ground. But we can move on to the final game. This one also has a 6 over under. Again, the road team seems pretty heavily favorited here because it has this one guy who's also very good at hockey, and he is back, baby. What's his name?
Mac Jesus resurrected from the injured reserve.
Mac Jesus, bring him back. Yeah, so he's good at hockey. His price, I think, must have stayed pretty much the same, right? I don't think he.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I guess it came down a little bit because he was 7-8 at one point. 7-2 though. Mac Daddy against Vancouver, who was less than good. Do we have any consideration for that top line for Colorado? I mean, this is a Colorado team that's really fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, they are. The issues with Colorado kind of they just got McJesus back, or sorry, not McJesus, McKinnon.
Almost the
But
same, I think,
yeah, I
right?
mean, pretty much. Like they're both extremely good. But Eric Johnson suffered a, I don't know, scary because okay, Eric Johnson got hit with a high stick, looked like a butt end on either Sunday or Saturday, and he went down immediately. Like he tossed his stick like he had been like shot, and it makes me think that he got like poked in the eye by a butt end. He didn't return to the game. There was no blood, but he is now out indefinitely. Like this is not good for Colorado. They have Barry back now, but Eric Johnson really was like their heart and soul defender. So, and they lost Anton Lindholm, who's not good, but I mean, sub replacement players are going to be coming up and playing on the back end for Colorado. So, to answer your question, I'm really not considering McKinnon, Ranton, and Landeskog just because I don't think their prices are low enough to the point where it makes sense to kind of jump on given the lack of firepower around them, basically.
Okay. What about Tyson Yost as a extreme kind of punt guy, as he is power play 1 but not getting the minutes?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Okay, good.
Just not that into it. So
okay, well, I don't think he's that into you either. Okay, I think that probably wraps it up. Unless if you have any Vancouver thoughts.
I was actually kind of strongly considering Vancouver just because, like I said, the defense is going to be so bad there. They're going to be at home, but there's so many spots on this slate that I like. I don't think it makes a ton of sense to play someone like Besser. I just the Sedins don't really interest me, as surprising as that may sound. Yeah. So, I'm pretty much set on everyone outside of Besser, Horvat, and Edler is sub 4,000. So you could get away with some value there. I'll be interested to see like the lines they run in practice because they just beat up on Boston. So that Sedins and Vanek line could be the slowest line in hockey, but also, could be decent just as like a total throwaway stack. But that's really my only decent take from this side.
Okay, well, yeah, I won't be touching Vancouver. So why don't we do our guaranteed goals or no stacks first? We'll do our stacks.
Yeah, we'll do stacks.
I'll let you have the first one.
Ooh, I'm gonna get the first crack at things here.
Very exciting times for you.
All right, I'm gonna keep it simple. Just right back to the basics. Kucherov, Killorn, Point. The prices just don't really add up. Like when you can get that line for cheaper than a lot of the lines we've discussed, given that Killorn is sub 5,000. Kucherov isn't. He's not priced at a premium to the other elite players on the slate. So stack them with Victor Hedman for the onslaught and just print money.
That was my plan, but I will have to go with another one. I'll go Barkov, Trocheck, Dadonov. First power play, Florida. I think that both of the top 2 lines for Florida could produce enough points. And if it is a tight one, then, maybe a bit high scoring. I do think that Trocheck will see, a bit more time, and they'll maybe even mix and match all 3 of those together at some point. I don't know if they've ever really done that before, though. But they do. All 3 of those guys will definitely get above 20 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, they run a hero line at some point where those 3 like end of periods and things like that. Huberdeau could go in for Dadonov, but anyways, Barkov and Trocheck do play together sometimes, and they kill penalties together sometimes too, which is nice.
I think Bukestad's a decent-ish value with that stack, but he just doesn't get the power play kind of exposure with them that you want. But he's okay.
All right. So. Yeah, I wanted to mention Keith Yandel, 5,000 I think is a bit steep, but he's not been the same like low floor player we've seen as of, earlier this season. Like he's kind of come on strong lately. So I like Yandel a bit as well, given the defense against Toronto thing that kind of always seems to make sense. So, all right. Let's see. On the cheaper end of things, boy, I was thinking about Keith Yandel too much to actually make a strong argument here. Do you have a cheaper-ish stack in mind, or are you kind of just going top end?
All right, so we won't know St. Louis's line until tomorrow, it looks like. I mean, they did recall Sammy, but Blaze.
Blaze. I don't
Blaze.
know. But
We're not positive. Jeremy
that
Rutherford reported. I'm sorry, were you not done? I'm sorry.
I was just trying to blah blah blah
Okay,
blah.
I'm not saying to play him, but Jeremy Rutherford tweeted that he assumes Schwartz, Shen, and Blaze. I kind of like Schwartz and Shen just because like we learned that whatever you say his name really isn't a shot producer at all, but does have decent hands and can definitely move the puck around okay. So I think in Schwartz and Shen, it's going to be really contrarian. It's cheaper than I've probably ever seen it, and I think they're both extremely talented. I think you could throw Tarasenko in there and kind of go with that power play, and hopefully, like Tarasenko is kind of the main producer on the one line. Maybe they end up getting back together at some point in the game. Now that stack isn't so cheap, but I do really like it. And if you wanted to throw Vince Dunn in there to get some savings, then I'm fine with it.
Okay, I can definitely dig that. Let's see. Okay, I'll go with the first line of New Jersey as well. So I'll go Hischier, Hall, and Kyle Palmieri. Sami Vatanen, in my opinion, is the top sub 4K defenseman. I feel pretty confident in saying that, having gone over the slate now. So I really like Sami Vatanen. I know you don't feel strongly about it, but
I feel like if you take that stack, like you really should include Sami Vatanen, but I don't think he's a one-off play. That's more of what I was getting at.
Well, I mean,
but it's fine.
I was continuing on the fact that I think he's the top sub 4,000 player. So I don't even know if I'm going to be playing this stack just because I think Tampa's stack is so great. And
you put that into Sami Vatanen. I mean, under 4K, I mean, you got Josh Morrissey, who we said was the best player on the slate. So I don't really know how you can make that call. But, I mean, I think if you're down at 3-2, like you're at Vince Dunn, then probably though Vatanen.
Yeah, there's no Montour on this slate.
There's really no one else in that than that. Yeah, there's no Montour and there's no Vegas. Like a lot of the Vegas defensemen are pretty cheap and normally decent values, but I guess in that general area, you're probably right.
Let's go to guaranteed goals. If you can do your best to avoid the team that that you wanted to stack, but be my guest if you had anyone in mind.
I can probably avoid them. Hold on. Do you have anyone in mind? I can let you go first. I'm not positive here.
All right. I feel like I should. I'm gonna go Blake Wheeler.
All right. Yeah, I was considering it. I was honestly thinking about going with him, but I was like, you know what? I'm not sure. Okay, I'll let you have it. Let's go with. What do you think about I don't know. But I want to go Kucherov, but you used him, didn't you? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can. I can
just
don't use a guy that you. Yeah, go for it.
I'll go
who are you gonna fit him in with though? I mean, you
got
3,000. You gotta.
got 3K guy. Not really, actually. All right, fine. I won't go Kucherov. I'll go with. Oh man, I almost want to go with like Seth Jones, but that feels really risky. No, I won't go with Seth Jones. I'm gonna go with. I think I'm going to go with Oscar Klefbom.
Okay.
Think of that. The pretty cheap here. A defenseman. Wow. I never really go with defensemen.
Wow.
I think it's actually like the more you talked about Klefbom and the more I kind of was looking up stuff while you were talking, I'm like, I really like that play a lot.
He just shoots so much. And
he's been shooting a lot lately. That's what I'm saying. Like as of late, he's had a lot of shot attempts. Like I think he's actually a really good value at 5-1. I go Oscar Klefbom, and that saves me what, like 6.5, 7K, and I'll go Tarasenko. Is that wait? Am I going over? No, I'm good. I'll go Tarasenko too.
Nice. Let's see. I will go with Boone Jenner for Columbus. There's the potential that he could be first power play. He's almost certainly going to be top 6 with Foligno being out. So I think he's the main beneficiary. Him or Dubois or Anderson, as I mentioned. I think one of those three should be in a prime role, and all three of them should be in pretty solid roles throughout this game. So I like that game for pace. And yeah, let's go with Jenner and Wheeler.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to close the show out with?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, enjoy the mega slate. Please, comment, rate, like, retweet, let other people know, let the NBA guys know. Like, you need to get started. You want to listen to a podcast because you just love DFS podcast. Get started here. I know we're probably not going to keep them forever, but You know what? Hockey is, I think, the funnest DFS sport, and that might be because I'm a huge hockey fan, but also it's like, I don't know, like watching, like every sport's better when you're betting on it. I think everyone would agree with
Oh
that
yeah.
listens to this. That's absolutely true. But hockey, it's like there's a power play and you're just freaking out. Um, am I right though? I don't know. I
Oh
feel like when
yeah.
I watch the NBA, it's like every basket, there's just not like as much on the edge. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. It's not
In
it's
the
not as
NFL,
event
it's like,
based. Yeah.
yeah. And then the NFL, it's like your guys aren't on the field half the game. And then the NHL, it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess only a third of the game they're on the ice, technically. But like you get those power play guys, those big opportunities. I don't know. So let everyone know. Um, and yeah, just have a really fun and hopefully profitable Tuesday.
Yeah. Certainly. Maybe the biggest winner outside of live finalists in uh, DraftKings NHL history, or I mean NHL DFS history, certainly, because I think FanDuel, you mentioned huge contest there as well. So good luck to everybody on this Tuesday mega slate. All right, yeah, let's end it there. From Doug, from DJ, and from myself, have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.